oftentimes you ask people, what are you motivated? When you come home from jail, what's your motivator? What is going to keep your engine running? What is going to keep you motivated? What is going to keep your spirits high? You know, a lot of times we struggle. We struggle through challenges where we lay our head at, going back home to the family, not having things in place, and you know, you have to, you know, live with the bare minimum of resources. And so what's going to keep you motivated? So now I'm going to ask you, Terrence, right? What's your motivation in life? What keeps you motivated?
Good question. Honestly, I would say just wanting to get better every day, trying to improve constantly, trying to get better than I was yesterday.
Okay.
And also, and I know sometimes I get lost a lot.
Okay.
But I always remember, like, what is it, not what I want to do, but who I want to be.
Right.
That type of person. And I try to go full force into that.
Okay.
And sometimes I fall short. I fall short a lot of times. Okay. But I'm aware now, as I get older, I'm more and more aware
Right.
of myself, like falling down and going back, just yo-yoing. But at least now I know, and it's a process. And there's no finish line.
Okay.
You have to like keep pushing. But that's me. I ain't never been, you know, locked up in nothing. You've been incarcerated. So
Right.
what keeps you motivated?
So I'm gonna ask you a question first, because I'm gonna give you an example, right?
All right.
So the example is like on the football field. You got a football team. Football team has cheerleaders,
Yes.
right? So the
Yes.
cheerleaders are on the sideline to do what?
Motivate the players.
Motivate the players,
For sure.
right? To cheer for the team, right?
That's right.
So you say, well, what's your cheerleader?
Yeah.
Because when you get up in the morning, what has you motivated? What cheers you on? What keeps you? Because I know I heard some things when you know, just talking, you talked about, you know, you want to be better. These things are in place that you want to strive to get to.
Right.
But when things don't work in your way or work in your favor, what keeps you motivated? Do you have a cheerleader squad? Do you have somebody, you know what I'm saying, that you can go to that will put the battery back in your back when the battery is running down? Because a lot of time our battery runs down in motivation, right? And so you say, hi, what's going to make me recharge?
Right.
Right? What's
Right.
going to be my charge?
Right.
See, so a lot of times I got to back, I got to plug in. Because I've been going and going. And
Right.
guess what? I ain't motivated,
Right.
right? So I was like, damn, we're doing all this all day. And, you know, ain't nothing happening.
Right.
I've been doing this all day again.
Right.
And ain't nothing happening.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I've been doing this all day again. And ain't nothing
I
happening.
would say you gotta keep the faith, and you gotta be your biggest cheerleader. I think.
Okay.
You can have other cheerleaders.
Right.
I want cheerleaders.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I definitely want cheerleaders rooting me on.
Okay, right.
Because you're right. Your motivation does drain.
Right.
But I think at that time you gotta figure out, is what I'm doing right? Should I change? Should I pivot? It's just a learning lesson.
Right, right.
You know. And sometimes you just gotta keep pushing through. You know, everything, it's not gonna be perfect every day. I don't
That's
feel
right.
like
That's right.
getting up and being
right.
motivated every day.
That's
But
right.
I know I gotta keep pushing. And I think you gotta be your biggest cheerleader. I'm my biggest cheerleader because I just no choice. I think that's how you gotta be in life.
You know, I was just having this moment, right?
Right.
And I was just laughing for a minute when you were saying cheerleader.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know a lot of times that I came home, I bought this used car. I had a used car. You know, I paid $600 for it, so you can imagine what kind of car it was,
nothing.
right?
Yeah.
You know, it was an '87 Buick,
There
right?
we
in the car, the ceiling, the ceiling was down here, so I had to get some stick pins to keep the ceiling up, right? I'm telling you how I had to put this car together. But you know, the car I have now it'll alert me if my air is low.
That's the move.
Right.
You moved up.
But I moved up.
You
But
moved
you know
up.
what I'm saying? And this is because of transitioning, right? But then when I said back then when I had that car, it didn't alert me.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to. You would hear, you know, it either grinding or it's bumping or you know something. Something would always alert me that I need to get out the car and check my tires.
Reactive.
So what helps you to check your motivation, right?
That's good.
What helps you to check the motivation? What helps you to check yourself? A lot of times, because, and I'm looking at them, and I'm talking to my group right now. What's the self-check that you have? What do you have for you to check yourself, to ask yourself these questions? Am I being motivated? What are some of the things that I need to deal with? How do I need to deal with my emotions so I can stay motivated? do I have a team of people, or do I have some accountability partners that I can call and say, hey, these are some of the things I'm going to. Your network is your net worth, right? And then we ain't talking about money, but I'm talking about your network should be something that's going to enhance your life. It should be your net worth, right?
Yeah.
So I have a host of people just like you, right? You see, we got our shirts on, the Hope Foundation. We connected, right? But I have people that we have these conversations where we can be able to talk and we can motivate each other, right? And so we asking you the same question: who are you going to have in your corner to motivate you? What's going to be your motivation to, right? These are some of the things that you should connect to your transition plan, right? So mine was, even when I was incarcerated, and I came home, you know, my motivation, I'll tell you my motivation. My motivation was an air mattress.
I hear that.
Hey, so, so I'm talking about transition. I'm talking about coming from a hard, right, steel mat that I had to sleep on 3 years. For 3 years straight. Wake up, back hurt, you know, neck hurt. And, you know, I ain't in no Hilton hotel, so you ain't getting no pillows.
Right.
You folding things up to lay down on. So I had to create and make my own pillow. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
But what I'm saying is I came home to an environment that was safe. I wasn't had to be aware. I was able to go to sleep, but I had an air mattress. That was my motivation. Then I got a job. I started getting paid money. I started getting checks. I was saving money. And my mother asked me one question, because I was living under my mother's house at the time. She said, baby, won't you buy a bed? I said, no, I don't need no bed. She said, why not? I said, because that motivates me every day.
I love that.
To want to be something different than what I am. You want to know what my motivation was? That air mattress, because the air mattress would be flat sometimes. So I'm sleeping on the floor.
I know how they work.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Had to click it.
They gon'
I
know all about that.
You got to pump it back up.
Absolutely.
So I'm talking about how I was able to keep my motivation going, right? It was a certain tool in place for me personally. This was personal, right? So that's the next question we're about to go to, because see, that motivation was personal. That was an air mattress. So I was willing to sacrifice everything. It wasn't about new shoes.
Right.
It wasn't about getting a nice size, king size bed because I ain't had one in 3 years.
Right.
It was saying I needed to sacrifice these certain things to get to where I needed to go, because my goal was not to be living with my mother at a certain age after I've already supposed to have been out in the first place.
Yeah.
So I wasn't spending any money. I wasn't trying to get fly. These are the things I started sacrificing. I wasn't going out. I wasn't doing certain things that I was capable or normally would do.
How many years
in my life
did you sacrifice? How many years did you sleep on that?
Oh my
on
God!
that air mattress?
So for everybody, the audience that's looking, I slept on that air mattress for about 1.5 years, right? And so because and you gotta look at it, right? First, I had to get a history of work in order to fill out an application at an apartment complex.
True.
That would check my history.
True.
That would make sure I had some job history.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That would make sure I was stable enough to accept me in this apartment. Had to build my credit back up. You know what I'm saying?
Patience.
I came home with a 470 credit. Okay? All right. Now I'm almost an 8 now. Yeah, I'm almost an 8 now. I'm gonna say almost, right? But I'm saying that to say is that I had to learn the value of certain things and learn how to sacrifice certain things before I can get to where I need to go.
Right.
So people need to understand, so what are you willing to do to sacrifice?
Right.
Do you have to fill in these gaps of how you feel, right?
Yeah.
Do you fill in these gaps emotionally because you're around a certain group of people that you feel like you got to put on certain clothes, or you got to wear this, or you got to wear that to feel a certain way?
Yeah.
Or do you stand outside of the crowd and just look at it and say, you know what, one day I'm going to get there, but right now I'm going to sacrifice.
Right.
Because one day I'm going to get there.
Right.
So see, these are the things that you learn. These are some of the examples of what you look at with sacrificing.
Right.
Right.
I would say I definitely had to sacrifice some relationships.
Right.
Especially earlier on, when I can see it takes a while for you to know that some people just aren't good for you, no matter what, no matter what circumstance. I just can't hang with this person right now.
Right.
I don't look at that person any differently.
Right.
You know, I just can't hang with you right now. You know, so I had to learn that sacrifice. I had to learn that those people, certain groups were bad for me, certain situations, and a lot of it's personal sacrifice. Like I have to test myself. Like I can't I have to be real and honest with myself. Like I can't do this thing because that thing is gonna lead to that thing, and that's gonna lead to that thing. You know what I mean? That's an own self check. So I had to. You have to get to that point with yourself.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, you shared your sacrifice. I would never.
Begin to talk about, your sacrifice. It came up as question 3, right? Yeah. That was a challenge for you.
Definitely.
That's an emotional challenge. You think about it, like
Absolutely.
separating from friends that you've been with all your life. Sometimes you grew up from the sandbox or whatever. Say, in case they, I'm gonna use what case they. I'm saying it right.
I love
but the challenges that you have to deal with emotionally to separate yourself from people that you so used to hanging with.
Right.
That's a challenge.
Absolutely.
So you got to be able to understand these uphill challenges that you're going to deal with getting to transitioning and getting to the other side.
Right.
See, it's not a straight road, right? It's not a straight road to transition. It's going to be uphill, downhill, uphill. It's going to be navigating, right? It's going to be jumping over hurdles, right? It's going to be so many different ways to challenge yourself and looking at challenges and challenge yourself to say, you know what? Maybe I can't hang with that guy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm so familiar.
Absolutely.
So, because when I hang with him, guess what he's going to ask me? Do I want to drink?
Automatic.
Do I want to get out?
You know it.
Do I want this, right?
Right.
And so, if I'm not living that lifestyle no more, right? I had to separate. See, the only thing I'm going to say this, and we're going to close out with this because this is real important, right? The thing that I did when I came home is I quit.
What do you mean by that?
I quit.
Quit what?
Everything.
Everything.
Everything that I was used to.
Okay.
I quit. I separated myself from
Gotcha.
people, places, things.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
People I used to hang with, the places I used to go, and the things I used to do.
Yeah.
I quit. I restarted my life. I had to get to a point where I had to tear that book up because that book, we were talking about that earlier. Remember we were talking about it earlier, the resume I built. You know what I'm saying? Being incarcerated 26 times.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Going through this lifestyle pattern, right? And so that resume I built, that was not a good resume.
Right.
So I had to change that resume.
Right.
Matter of fact, I had to take the page and just tear it up, right? Put that book in the trash and rewrite a new book. See, now the novel is something to read.
Right.
Because it's more interesting.
Would you tear it up? Would you tear it up?
No, yeah, I tore it up.
Okay.
I tore it up.
Wow.
You gotta understand, I don't need to read it. It's here.
know. Yeah.
It's right here.
Yeah.
I don't need to read it.
Right.
And see, I don't need nobody to help me revisit my life.
Yeah.
Because I already know
You lived
it.
it.
So the people so the people that try to bring up my past, they intimidated on my future. They intimidated on my present. That's why they keep bringing up my past, because they try to say that's all they know about me.
At that level.
That's right.
For them.
And that's what we're telling the group. That's what you got to think about. So if you want to be around people that's only going to talk about your past, then you'll never know what your future is. Your future can be more bright if people stop dimming your light. Because you're around people that keep dimming your light. You can't get nowhere.
Right.
These are some of the things we're going to talk about. Motivation, we're going to talk about sacrifice, we're going to talk about challenges. Some of these quotes I have for you, and I'm going to say this quote and then we're going to close. Right? What makes you comfortable can ruin you. Only in a state of discomfort can you continuously grow. I'm going to say it again. What makes you comfortable can ruin you, and only in a state of discomfort can you continue to grow.
I agree
right?
with that.
So they told me a long time ago, they said, Corey, you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
You told me that.
I did.
You told me that.
I did.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to work with, right?
Absolutely.
See, some of the quotes that we have always stick with each other because we have these conversations and we learn how to build relationships through conversation. Conversations can continue to flow because this is not scripted. We just having a conversation.
This is normal.
Normal, right?
Conversation.
So we're going to close with that, man. I thank you again, man, for always, connecting and us reaching out to the group, right? And speaking in, in a healthy way to understand and make sure people can understand transition is really important with leaving incarceration. And that's all. We're going to leave off with that.